For this deep dive, let's start with something maybe a bit jarring. Did you know that the airline industry, their incredible safety record, it's not really built on avoiding mistakes. It's almost entirely built on, well, learning from every single fatal error. Pretty radical idea.
It absolutely is counterintuitive, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's what we're digging into today. The core ideas from sources looking at black box thinking.
Mhm.
Basically exploring why real success often isn't about, dodging failure. It's more about building this really honest, systematic way to dissect it when it happens.
Okay.
And our mission really is to take that specific black box mindset and sort of show you how you might apply its very practical, actionable systems for your own goals, personal or professional.
Right. So let's unpack that system then, starting with where it kind of came from, aviation. The actual black box itself is, well, it's a flight data recorder, but the mindset around it is key. It captures everything, all the details for this meticulous, completely non-judgmental analysis after something goes wrong. Our sources call this the open loop system. It's about facing reality relentlessly.
Exactly, an open loop. And it hinges on this idea of radical transparency, which is a sharp contrast to what they call the closed loop system. That's where, maybe reputation matters more, errors get covered
Yep.
up, maybe minimized, and that just blocks learning entirely.
Yeah.
You can't adapt if you won't even look at the data.
You can't.
And this commitment, it's intense. It leads to that chilling phrase from the sources. Everything we know in aviation, every rule, we
Right.
know because someone somewhere died. Lessons literally bought with blood.
Wow. That's incredibly powerful. It really makes you think, doesn't it? If, say, our industry or even just our team processes had that level of commitment, what truths would we uncover? And it begs the question, if failure is that valuable, why are we in almost every other area so resistant to collecting this, precious data?
Yeah, well, that's where psychology really throws a wrench in the works. It seems we're just hardwired to protect our own self-image. There's research showing the extent of this. It's pretty shocking. Executives blaming others for failures,
Mm-hmm.
even when the data shows maybe only, 25% are actually truly blameworthy in that specific context. And this just stalls everything because the real issue, the systemic problem, it never gets addressed.
Wait, so you're saying we actually sabotage getting clearer information just to avoid feeling bad or having tough conversations? I'm really interested in that denial mechanism. How does that work?
Well, it often becomes subconscious, which is kind of insidious. The research found that when goals are vague, people might subconsciously set them that way on purpose.
To avoid accountability later.
Precisely. To avoid being held accountable. It's like they're editing mistakes out of the official autobiographies we all keep in our own heads.
Mm.
And if you successfully edit out the failure, well, you've just eliminated any chance to learn from it.
That is the absolute definition of a closed-loop mindset right there. So if this failure to learn is genuinely, like you said, one of the biggest roadblocks to human progress, how do the real high performers manage it? The organizations where adapting fast is, make or break, how do they break that psychological barrier?
Yeah, that's the crucial part. What you see in these world-class organizations, think Mercedes F1 teams, agile tech startups, is that they embrace the continuous feedback loop. Not just as a nice idea, but as a core mandatory protocol. They get that success isn't only about planning beforehand.
Right, the before the event reasoning.
Exactly. It relies just as heavily on what the sources call after the trigger adaptation, learning after something happens.
Okay, so they're actively turning failure into a resource. But how does that work practically, beyond just, having a postmortem meeting?
The mechanism is essentially the scientific method, just applied relentlessly.
Yeah.
Test, learn, adapt, repeat. They use tools that force transparency. Things like mandatory checklists, non-negotiable ones that make teams confirm steps. Doesn't matter how senior you are.
Ah, okay.
Failure in, say, a rapid A/B test isn't really failure. It's just the B result. It's data telling you to move on to test C. The key framework, the actionable bit, is simple but hard. Strictly separate the analysis from any kind of punishment or blame.
Focus on the system, not the person.
You got it. Avoid blame. Focus purely on learning and improving the system.
That shift in focus feels huge.
Oh,
It
yeah.
changes failure from being seen as some kind of moral issue to just immediate objective feedback, valuable feedback.
Absolutely. And the ultimate wisdom here isn't just learning from your mistakes. It's leveraging everyone else's experience too. Because you simply can't live long enough to make all the mistakes yourself.
Okay.
So every error anywhere in the system needs to be treated as a collective step towards getting better, towards mastery.
So wrapping this up, what's the core takeaway for you listening? The main lesson from this black box thinking seems to be that continuous growth requires a system. A system where failure isn't hidden, but it's actually seen as maybe the fastest way to iterate and improve. So here's something provocative to maybe chew on after this. If your own goals, maybe personal ones, maybe workplace ones, were crystal clear, and you applied this kind of radical transparency we've been talking about, what unhelpful patterns might you suddenly see? What could you or your team actually achieve if every single error was treated not as something to hide, but as a documented, necessary step toward getting really, really good at what you do, something to explore?